Hey guys, this is Darian Rolls from Healthy Life Designing. Today we're talking to Laura Cooke. She's the founder and owner of the Positive Foundry. And what she does is she finds organizations to go into to help their employees flourish. And by that, helping the entire organization flourish. And Laura, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
So this is great. And I love your logo too.
Thank you. Thanks. We've been doing a lot of online training, so it's nice to have it behind us now that we've got COVID amongst us.
It is, and it's so positive. So how did this organization get started? Like, what gave you the idea that there was a need for this?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of my life's history. So I was the assistant head of an independent school in Columbus, Ohio, the Wellington School. And at one moment in my life, I was having a few health issues related to, really, it ended up being acid reflux, a very simple health issue. But at one of my doctor's appointments, I went in and he asked me how I was doing. And I said, crazy busy, and I don't really have time for this appointment. So if you could just figure out what's going on and we'll move through this, that would be great. And he said, are you overwhelmed? And I said, well, yeah, I'm a little overwhelmed. I have 4 children and a part-time job that's not super part-time and a husband that travels. And his next question to me was, would you like an antidepressant? And it threw me, mostly because it was like the first moment where I had paused after having 4 children and working part-time and trying to manage it all. And I paused and I was like, am I depressed? So I went on this path to sort of understand what happiness is. And my dad actually handed me the book Flourish by Martin Seligman. And that was really the beginning of the Positive Foundry journey. So after that, I wrote a grant at our school to go to Australia, the Institute for Positive Education, which is where Martin Seligman founded Positive Education.
Wow.
And while I was there, I discovered that children in Australia learn about their strengths starting in 1st grade. They've got directors of positive education in public schools. And in the US, we are teaching suicide prevention in middle school.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't think we're doing it right here. So I came back with sort of this new purpose in life, which my personal purpose is really to create generational change through teaching the skills that lead to joyful, meaningful living. And really just started with corporations because I have a background in business, and my roles prior to Wellington were all business related. And so it was basically about 2 years from that doctor's appointment where we launched Positive Foundry.
Wow. So how many organizations have you been able to help?
So we work with a variety of organizations. So everything from a small team, Cryo Communications, a group of 5 women in PR, all the way through a company that has about 8,500 employees, and we're working with 200 offices across the United States. So a wide variety of companies. As far as number, I don't know that I have that off the top of my head, but a variety over the course of time. And we've spent a lot of time really trying to develop a program for frontline employees. So we have a series of videos that take the skills that we teach into like 3 to 5 minute bites that enable everybody in the company to learn the same skills. So while a professional might spend an hour and a half on a webinar and really go deep into learning optimism, the frontline employees will still have a chance to learn it. They'll just do that in a 3 to 5 minute video. So over the past 2.5 years, we've really been building out that program, which just recently, it's launched really in the past 8 months.
Wow. So what is the first thing that you do for this whole process?
So you mean if we start with a new company, a new organization?
Yeah, so when you walk in and you've got a big room of people, what's the first thing you guys start out with?
In terms of skill set or in terms of like the relationship?
I guess either.
Okay, so to start a relationship, typically we will go in and do a survey. So we'll
Okay.
survey the employees on their well-being, and we'll try to measure
Okay.
their well-being, and we'll look at the culture. And then a lot of times that will sort of dictate the order in which we teach the skills. So just from like a background standpoint, positive psychology was created in 1998. So the field is relatively new. If you
Hmm.
think about it, it's younger than the internet. So it's really sort of the reason I think why we're starting just now to really hear about mindfulness on a regular basis, or why gratitude matters, because only recently have we put the research dollars towards understanding what practices work. So all of the things that we teach are based on that science of positive psychology. And positive psychology says that in order to flourish, we need to have 5 things in our life. We need to have positive emotions. We need to have engagement and be engaged in what we're doing. We need to have strong, meaningful relationships. We need to have a sense of meaning or purpose in our life. And we need to feel successful and feel accomplishment every day. And so what we've done is created a set of 12 skills that we can practice and learn that enable us to have those things in our life. So when we say you need more positive emotion in your life, it's like, okay, great. Well, how do I get that? Right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, we have to learn we have to practice gratitude. It's not actually about feeling grateful once. It's about how do we build that into every single day, thinking about 3 things we're grateful for, so that all of a sudden we start to notice all of the other things that we're grateful for throughout our day. And we can change that wiring to be more positive. That's an example of one of the ways in which we can bring positive emotion into our life.
Um, so the survey that you do, this wellness survey, like the assessment, what's involved with that?
So we have a series of questions that measure people's positive emotions, engagement, their relationships, whether or not they feel a sense of purpose, and whether or not they feel successful. And then we also measure the culture from a level of is the employee engaged, and do they feel valued at work? Do they feel appreciated? Do they feel safe? Are they growing and learning? All the things that we know go into building a really positive culture. And the idea behind surveying is to have that pre-survey and then be able to show that through some of the training that we execute, that they'll see an improvement in an aggregate score. So we actually, everything is anonymous and we don't tie it to an individual. So I can't tell you whether X employee has improved, but
Right.
we look at it on an aggregate basis of when we came in, this was the measure of positive emotions. And after 12 months, here's what the measure looks like. And I should just say that when I say we do training, I think a lot of companies will come in and do like a 1-day training. And our belief is in the things that we're teaching, it's a little bit harder than just learning something one day and walking away, right? You learn something, you drink from a fire hose, and you leave, and you're going to take 1 or 2 things away. So the way we like to roll out with companies is either on a weekly basis, they're watching a video, or on a monthly basis, they're experiencing a training, and we're building upon what we learned before. Because everything that we teach is, it's easy to understand. It's really easy to understand the way our mind works or why we talk to ourselves a certain way.
Yes, it's
But it's a
applying it.
lot harder to change it, right?
Yes.
A lot
Yes.
harder to implement it.
Right.
So we've got to give people time. And, we build habits with repetition and practice. And
Hmm.
so we build a lot of those repetition elements and practice into the training.
So have you gotten a lot? I'm sure you've had a ton of different feedback.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
could you share an example of one of the places or the organizations you've worked with, and you don't have to mention their name, but maybe where they started before they went through the Positive Foundry to where they are now?
Yeah. So the first thing that comes to my mind is an office that the culture was very, I would say, very disconnected. So everybody worked for the same company, but people didn't necessarily really know each other. They didn't even necessarily greet each other when they walked in the morning. It was a little bit of a cold kind of environment. And we brought everybody together to start learning. And now it's the kind of environment where you walk in and people are high-fiving each other. They're talking to each other about their kids. They're feeling really like connected with their employees and with each other. And I think a lot of it has to do with not only the fact that we're talking about the fact that strong relationships and having people at work that you consider to be a work best friend is really important to our well-being, but also because they're just learning and growing together, and they're having this opportunity to understand a little bit more about what does it mean to be happy, and how can they live their best life, and what do they want out of life, and all of these things that, you know, we come to work, and I think some people think like we bring our work self to work and then we go home and we have our home self, you know, and really we're one person. And if we have stuff going on at home, we're going to bring it to work, right?
Yes.
So this program is really designed to hit a person at all aspects of life so that we can recognize we're all at our core, we're all human beings, right? We're all experiencing many of the same challenges, and we're all going through this crazy thing called life together.
Well, and what comes to my mind is stress and burnout, because I know I've went through that a few times throughout my career, or careers, I guess I could say. And, you know, I think it's just one of those words that people just throw around and may not understand. I mean, it can really impact your life to the point that you're burnt out. And so having something, or, you know, someone like you being able to come in and help, you know, if that person is experiencing the burnout at work and then taking it to the house, I mean, it just creates this snowball effect of everything else. But that's what's great about your program, is that those people, they might be burnt out for a reason that they don't even know. And it might just be something as simple as you're not connecting with your coworkers, and they're not connecting with you, and nobody knows why or how, but nobody wants to be the person to step forward and to take that step. But you being able to have the assessments and the surveys to help people be happier and healthier. And I mean, there's nothing better, I would say, but to be friends with the people that you're working with.
Right.
Nobody wants to have enemies at work.
Right. There's actually one of the most profound studies in positive psychology. They took twins that were separated at birth, and what they wanted to understand was what amount of our happiness or life satisfaction comes from our genetics. And what they discovered was that we have a genetic set point. So 50% of our ability to be happy and our life satisfaction does come from a genetic set point. So we can blame our parents for 50% of our unhappiness or happiness in life, but only 50%. Right. The other interesting thing is that only 10% comes from our circumstances. And our circumstances are things like whether we're rich or poor, whether we're attractive or unattractive, whether we live in the city or live in the country, whatever it is. Only 10% comes from our circumstances, and 40% comes from the voluntary choices that we make every day. And I think that study in particular is so empowering, because even when we start to talk about stress and burnout and the things that hit us, right? Because we're all experiencing life. I mean, we all have the, oh my gosh, I forgot this. The kids are doing this. I've got this at work. right? I mean, it just compounds on us. I make the joke that I have forgotten to serve dinner before. I mean, it's like, we know dinner happens every night, but somehow I forgot it today.
Yes.
We all have that, but we have to come back to the place of we have choices that we make every day. So finding a way to pause and say, where is this stress and burnout coming from? And what can I communicate, or what can I change that will alleviate some of that? What can I add into my life? I mean, a lot of us are running around today distracted by our cell phones, flitting from thing to thing, and we're not even pausing to notice how we feel. We're not being mindful. We're not taking a few deep breaths every day at different times to say, okay, how am I feeling right now? Let me just center myself and be present. And so some of that stress and burnout is coming from the choices that we're making. Some of it is a result of our environment, but we have to pause and say, what can we control? And then what do we want to do about that?
So have you been able, you travel all over the place with this.
Yeah.
What are some of the places that you've been able to speak at?
Well, I have had the opportunity my favorite location so far has been Canyon Ranch, which is a spa in Tucson, Arizona. And that was amazing because to be in an environment of people who are all there to be healthy, it was so much fun to come in and talk about well-being. And it was also fun because I think there were some aha moments from the audience where, oh gosh, there's even something else I can learn, So it was really rewarding. That was probably one of my favorite locations that I've been.
Wow. Could we talk about some of the values, how you break things down? You've got creativity you talk about and abundance.
Yeah. So I think the values you're referring to. So we use a tool called VIA, which stands for Values in Action. And it is a survey that was developed by Martin Seligman, who's the founder of positive psychology, as well as a couple of other positive psychologists or psychologists studying positive psychology. And what the reason why they came up with this survey was they said that there is the diagnostics, I'm going to get it wrong, DSM-5. Okay, let's just call it that. There's a book that has 290 words to describe mental illnesses that we can have. So there are 290 labels for what's wrong with us as human beings.
That's interesting.
And what they said is there is no language for what's right with us. There's no universal language for what values do you bring to the table. And so they went across every continent. They studied basically history all the way up to present day, and they identified 24 words that are values that we can action. So it's values in action, VIA, but now they call themselves just VIA.
Right.
And the survey is free and it's open to anyone. The survey link's actually viacharacter.org, but we use that in a lot of our training because we want people to come showing up from a place of strength. And we all have strengths within us. In fact, we all have all 24 of these within us. We just have them to different degrees. So while my top strength might be love, in that I feel as I take the survey, I action love often. I do things based in love often. Someone else might have kindness or honesty or humor as their strength. I wish humor was actually higher on my list, but it's not. But it's interesting because if we come at conversations or challenges in life from a place of strength, we're much more likely to be able to see solutions than when we're coming from a place of negativity, right? I mean, we say that negativity puts blinders on our brain. We can't see anything else when we're in that hole, right?
Yes.
And so how do we expand that? And we do that through the use of that survey tool, which is a free survey tool offered to anyone.
Which I thought was really cool. And people can look at your website, and underneath everyone's bio, you have they're little symbols that show what your strengths are.
Yeah. And
I'm very excited.
Actually, at Ohio State University Medical Center, I think they've done the survey because if you go by their name tags, they have their strengths listed underneath their names too on some of the offices, which I love. And yeah,
it's something so simple like that. I mean, I can think of so many different reasons. For one, it's going to start a great conversation. But can you imagine if people had their desks and they each had their strengths on their desks? I mean, it's probably in a different world. But there was one more thing that I wanted to ask you, and it's about the schools.
Yes.
So I've wondered, I mean, I know COVID happened, but you and I talked earlier in the year, and you were explaining how you're trying to get more into the school systems. And I'm just wondering, how far you've gotten with that.
Yeah, so one of my colleagues from Wellington, Erin Novisky, who used to lead our middle school, has partnered with us. And so she's really focused on trying to figure out how we can roll some of this into our school system. Because in order for us to achieve our ultimate mission, we really need children to start, right, at a young
Yeah,
age,
right.
understanding these things. But one of the things that we're going to launch on September 14th, I'm super excited. So because of all of our corporate clients, we are going to launch a free series for any educator in Central Ohio. So for the teachers, to support our teachers in this crazy time,
That is
we're
awesome.
going to offer 3 sessions a week. We're going to do a breathing session just on practicing breathing. It's 10 minutes. We're going to do a 10-minute session on writing and journaling, because a journal is one of the most powerful well-being tools we can have.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then we're going to do a 30-minute learn session each week where we just give a positive psychology bite that's good for both adults, and then also we'll kind of give some tips for how to bring that into the classroom. So we're going to offer that starting on September 14th for any teacher in Central Ohio. Will be positivefoundry.com/educators. And there will be a link that will enable people to go on and learn more about it and then sign up to get the Zoom link.
Okay. Well,
yeah, and one of the hopes is to also just connect those teachers in a time when it feels like we're all so disconnected. So in the learn session in particular, there will be a chance to have a breakout session and have a dialogue with someone, which I think just could be really powerful all by itself. We've found that a lot.
Because you're feeling supported, you're feeling loved, you're feeling cared about, and the teachers are getting hit so hard right now. But that was another question that I wanted to ask was, what are you guys doing? Like, how is the system working for you with COVID right now?
In terms of our business?
Yes.
So what's interesting is we expected that we would sort of slow down. And what we have found was we have literally hit Mach speed. So the companies that we work with are amazing because they care so much about their employees. And so they've increased the amount of training and different opportunities people have to connect with each other. So just the session before this, I was online with some people in California and Ohio talking about gratitude, and they were able to see each other on the screen. And when we ended the session, it was like, oh my gosh, that just made my day to be able to talk to somebody about something positive. And it was just 30 minutes. So we're doing all kinds of sort of bite-sized learning. And then we're also kicking off a really big program with a company here in Columbus next week, where we'll be reaching their frontline employees eventually with the video program as well. So it's been good. I will say that I am a little bit worried about the people who are living alone and don't have a video camera on their computer or don't have a lot of work people to connect with, because this COVID, the social distancing, I just even hate that word, right? We don't need to be socially distant. We might need to be physically distant, but really we need to be socially connected.
We need people. Yes, we do.
Yes. So the other thing we're starting actually this week, and we're going to start a little game online. So you'll have to look for that on social media. We're going to start a game to try to bring back some connections with people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, if people would like to get connected with you, could you share any information about how they can find you?
Yes. Our website is www.positivefoundry.com. You can find us on Instagram, it's Positive Foundry. On Twitter, it's Positive Foundry. And on Facebook, the same.
All right. Well, that's all that we have time for today. Thank you, Laura Cooke.
Thank you so much. It was so fun to talk to you. And thanks for what you're doing and spreading healthy living to everybody. It's wonderful to see your show. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody. That's all we have time for today. Positive Foundry, check them out. Laura is awesome. You will not regret reaching out to her, and she is definitely very positive, just like her business. Until next time, we will see you soon. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm a recovering addict. For 10 of the last 11 years, I've been struggling with addiction, homelessness, incarceration, and just loneliness. However, since getting clean this past year, I've accomplished more than I have in those 10 years combined. After attending outpatient counseling services, inpatient counseling services, living in a sober living house, and attending 12-step meetings, I've been able to regain control of my life and begin to achieve goals I've always dreamed of. Addiction can destroy lives in many ways. Whether you need help with childcare or financial assistance, everyone deserves a new beginning. Recovery supports are just that, supports for recovery. My life mattered. Your life matters too.
This message is brought to you by the Fairfield County Adam H. Board.
Dagger Law has been part of the Lancaster community for more than 110 years. This is where we live and work. You'll see us at festivals, sporting events, and all around town. We consider our clients as friends, and we walk alongside you through challenging times. Whether you're a growing business, a changing family, facing litigation, planning your future, or dealing with land issues, we're right here. We are local. We are trusted. We are experienced. Dagger Law.
Welcome to the Dream Machine.
Like to be part of Dream Machine, keep me busy, and it's also important that we do it together as a group, and we plow and plant, and we have lots of produce. We have tomatoes like one here, and gourds, cucumbers, squash, crawberries, beets, microgreens. We also have flower arrangement, and we also sell bags, those tote bags out of animal food bags, and we sell them out in the market, farmers market.
It's a special place that keeps people healthy by eating a couple fruits and vegetables. I always show people, first time they pick raspberries and green beans, I show them how to do it like they do it wrong. Picking raspberries and green beans is simple, easy for me. When entering some things in the field like pumpkins, the gourds were growing, and everyone likes them. Tasty.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
It's a hometown bank. It's located here in Fairfield County. Branches are convenient. They're located here in Pickerington, where my office is. I'm in Lancaster a lot, and they have plenty of branches there. And I much prefer dealing with the hometown banks rather than the larger nationwide chain banks.
So far, everybody's been so personable, and for us to bank with the local bank, and we bank in Lancaster, it's been so wonderful because we'll call somebody, Steve will call somebody, and they'll get back to us right away, or they'll say, okay, we're going to make a decision in the basement tomorrow, and they'll get back to us, rather than calling a bigger bank where we had to wait and we didn't always get the same person the next time we called for a investment banking opportunity, or getting something appraised, any of those kind of things.
Everybody is very customer friendly. A lot of times I'll bring my dog Bear with me, and the staff love him here, and of course he loves them and the treats that he gets. So it's just a nice kind of a family type environment.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.